We did it, everybody. We did it. It has been a hell of a long road the last 2 years. But today, I sit before you, a man who was on a mission. We are up 100 units of profit betting on mixed martial arts in the year of our Lord 2023. Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. And today we don't even got the blue stimmy shirt. We are rocking the no shirt with the money chain, baby. We had a big ass 12 unit night at UFC 294, and it could not have gone better. We absolutely swung for the fences. Trevor Peak, Cedric Dumas. Like, we were this close, folks, this close to a sweep of the card. Okay, we lost one bet only. It was a parlay. It was a big right in the nuts -3 unit play because it lost, but Ankalaev Jubli was up 20-18 going into round 3. Mike Breedane came out and barked like a dog and melted the kid, completely froze him, and that's the only reason that we didn't sweep top to bottom UFC 294. And it would have been just legendary because we would have cashed another 3 units on the parlay. And then I set up a PRP, the leveled style parlays, and we only cashed the top 3 legs of that bad boy because of Ankalaev Jubli. We would have got legs 4, 5, and 6 for a ridiculous like 90-1 on that bottom leg score if he had just held his shit together. So we were this close. It was already a good night, but it was nearly a legendary night. Either way, I couldn't be more excited. If you guys could not tell, I could not be more excited. Last year, now I'm sorry. There's no UFC event this week, folks. There's no MMA event to break down. We got a whole lot of nothing to talk about. So we're going to do a good show. We're going to have a nice little short show, hang out with the chat. But then I'm going to go watch my Minnesota Vikings get absolutely railed by the San Francisco 49ers tonight. So that's what I've got on the docket this evening. So short show, but I can't, like, I'm having a hard time expressing how good this feels. For those of you who are with me right now, those of you who are in the chat, those of you who have been watching this show for the last couple of years, especially those of you who found me in 2022. I was the laughingstock of MMA. This podcast has been going for 4 years, and I know there's some of you who are true to your core, legitimate diehards, and you never abandoned me. But last year was rough. I couldn't have been more wrong in places. I got overconfident at the wrong time. I laid piles of bets down on bad fighters, and I was down 70 units. 70! That's a lot. And I did it all right in front of everybody. And my whole thing has always been open, honest, transparent. I'm never going to lie to you guys. I'm never going to run away. I'm never going to hide when I make a bad call, a bad read, a bad bet. And that's always been my promise, and I kept that last year. I kept that. And karma has made its way around full fucking circle because now, after being down 70 units in front of everybody, I get to pound my chest because we're up 100 units. We wiped the 70 unit mark off. And not only did we make those 70 back, we got 30 more on top of them. I couldn't be more pumped right now. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with me. I know this sounds like an outro and we're just getting the show started, but we got Air Dog in the chat. We got Nate Dog 420. We've got Nunya hanging out. And then we've got Jared TG. I'm leaning in close here like this, guys, because rocking the shades here for the show. I literally can't see. I've got my Anthony Smith glasses. Normally speaking, this is how blind I am, is me to the laptop. I can't make it out without the extra glasses. So your boy needs a little bit of help, but whoo! All right. So, like I said, not a whole lot to do. So we're going to hang out. We're going to talk with the chat, and we're going to recap last week's event, UFC 294. It was weird. It was really weird. I mean, first off, I got to pat myself on the back again here. Sorry about that. But the butthole pucker play of the night, the over 1.5 in the curtain jerker, Silva versus Magomedov. I got made fun of for that play. I got told Chara was going to knock Bruno out in the first round. Bruno always wins in the first round. Like, people were not giving that play any credit whatsoever. It went a full 15. That one couldn't have gone any better. I'm bummed I didn't take the swing on Chara by decision or even fight goes the distance. But it was a sweet way to start the weekend. And thank you guys. I see the comments here in the chat. My guy Nate Dog, appreciate you. And then you know what? So Jared right here saying that the rough streak helped me learn lessons and have keys to success for this year. Couldn't be more accurate, Jared. Absolutely, 1000%. I made a ton of mistakes last year. I got a little too big for my britches. I was 3 years into the podcast, and even though I had only had mild success, my best year was up 30 units. I wasn't I've never claimed to be a professional gambler. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a gambler. So my best year wasn't spectacular, but I had done nothing but go the right direction. And then I just started doing stupid shit, started firing off on random stuff. And when things were right blatantly in front of me, I would just be like, no, like, there's no way this guy's got it. He's still got it. He's going to bring it back. And it's like, no, he's been shot for a long time. So you're absolutely right. And we always say we either win or we learn. And that is actually the truth. Like, I paid way more than I should have to learn the lessons. But now that I've got the lessons, things are looking up. And now I just need to do my best not to, fumble the bag and fuck it up before the end of the year, because we still got a couple of months. We still got a couple of months to get through. We have got none other than Dominic X. Gridge. Welcome to being a Pub Sports Radio member. Thank you very much for joining the fam. And he's saying, first time catching you live. UFC 294 was money. You best believe it. Thank you for being here live. And I'm sorry it was your first time joining live. I'm glad I get to shout you out and bump you. But I'm really bummed I don't have more to give you as far as money goes. I was trying to rack my brain today, guys. I wanted to give you something awesome to play for the Monday Night Football game, because it's my Vikings. It's my Vikings. I should be able to give you some sort of insider's opinion on what's going to go on. But I got to tell you, it's just an absolute shit show going up against the 49ers. They might be injured. They might be in a tough spot themselves, with the way the team is built at the moment, but they're still a level above anything my Vikings have faced. I'm terrified for tonight. It's probably going to be a bad night. So unfortunately, got nothing for you there. If you follow me on Twitter, I did give out Jeff Skinner in the hockey game tonight, and he's already got a goal in the very first period. So hopefully you guys got in on that one. The hockey's starting to come around. I'm starting to feel my juices flowing again. It was a rough start. It was a rough start to the NHL degenerate action this year. But once you get familiar with the teams and kind of get a feel for the schedules, then it all starts kind of falling into place a little bit. So let's see here. He's saying Cousins plus 300 yards. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the thing. I just keep playing that game out through my head, and I'm like, they could really try to run the ball and shorten the clock so there's just not enough time for anybody to score or do as much, and that keeps them in the game. Or it could just be a slugfest. They could just sling it left and right. It could fly over in the first. I don't know. I really have no idea how this game is going to play out. It's kind of bugging me. We got Jared saying I got a sprinkle on 49ers. Mine is 19.5. I don't. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I could see it. If they pick 6 Kirk Cousins and then just shut the offense down for the rest of the game, they're pissed off, man. They lost that game against the Browns in a bad spot. So you don't want to mess with the 49ers coming off of that. Anyway, let's get back to UFC 294. People, the diehard NFL podcast is maybe a thing one of these days, but not today. So let's circle it back around. Everybody and their mom was all in on Dudakova this week, and myself included. I had Dudakova and parlays and stuff like that also. But the one thing that I mentioned was she's very young, she's very green, and Jin Frey, for all of her faults, has excellent takedown defense. Dudakova had to outstrike Jin Frey for 15 minutes. And that's not something I heard anybody else talking about. That's not something I heard anybody else even mentioning. Everyone assumed that Dudakova was just going to be able to blow straight on through Jin Frey, get her to the ground, tap her out Easy peasy, no problems. Frankly, the one time they grappled, Jinh Yu Frey was the one who was controlling it. Jinh Yu Frey was the one who was on top, who had dominance in that position. And that's something, it's like young fighters, man. Young fighters. She doesn't and I know it's ladies, so she doesn't have her man strength. You know what I mean? She has not filled out that frame yet. Whereas Jinh Yu Frey is at the end of her career and has had all the good stuff and has worked on being a 185er, moving up to 115 for the last 10 years. She's got all her man strength. She's got her lady strength ready to go. Dudakova still has some work to do, some seasoning, but we see just the beginning, the outline of what could be a stud. That kind of grappling ability, that kind of aggressive nature. Now that she's getting the striking and decent fight IQ, she showed off some decent fight IQ. She found the spot in the fight where she could win, and she used it. And she went full 15 minutes and got it done against the veteran. That's admirable. That's the kind of ring time someone young like this needs to really reach that next level. So I was actually impressed with Dudakova for different reasons. I wanted her to get the finish, obviously, but we'll take it, right? She got a leg done in the parlay. And maybe the most, that's actually way too strong. I was going to say the most controversial fight on the card, but there's a lot. There's a lot this week. Wood versus Naimov. I mean, I called Naimov for the upset, but I also called him knockout or bust. Like, I really thought this man was going to have to put Wood down to be able to get his hand raised. And he did. In the first round, he dropped Wood. And I don't know how Wood keeps doing it. Like, this guy just continues to surprise me. The way he's able to pick himself up off the floor and fight his way back into it. He's incredible. He really is. I just feel like he's a man without a weight class. He can't make the right weight class for him. So he's hanging out at featherweight, and these guys are all too big. Eventually, he's either going to work his way high enough up into the rankings that he faces one of these killers up at the top of the division, and then he will get knocked out, or he's just going to fuck around until his chin gets tagged a few too many times. And one of these mid or low tier guys is going to put him down. And that's what I thought Naimov was going to be able to do. He never followed up on it, but he dropped him in the first. And then it was cheating galore, right? Like fingers in the gloves. He was hanging on for dear life, just barely surviving while Wood was beating his ass in the third round. He was out of gas. So props to Naimov for hanging in there. Props to our boy Liam Picks Fights for also calling the upset. I believe we were the only two ones as far as like notable podcasters and stuff like that goes that called Naimov for the upset here this week. Mike Breedeen, my God. I'll tell you guys, I was dead wrong about Breedeen in this spot. And it's funny because Breedeen was a guy that I saw the potential in when he first made it to the UFC. I said this on the Monday Breakdown. I tried to bet Breedeen a couple of different times, and he just never was able to kind of bring it around, never able to get it going. And the big thing for me was deep in the fight, I think Jubilee will still be able to hit takedowns. That was the big one for me. I really thought Jubilee was still going to be able to hit takedowns. And my guy Nunya in the chat saying, thanks for the Naimov call. You got it, Nunya. So I really thought that Jubilee was still going to be able to just like sell out, fall on the legs, and drag Breedeen to the floor. And that didn't happen. I also wasn't expecting Breedeen to be legitimately barking at Jubilee and fracturing his psyche with the offensive aggression. That was something else. The shots that Jubilee was hitting Breedeen with, those straight long shots, that right hand, it was coming home anytime he wanted it. I know Breedeen's got that dog, but I really thought Jubilee would finish him if he was able to land as cleanly as he did for the course of the fight. I thought he'd be able to wear him out. I thought he'd be able to take him down. And then once he got him on the ground, that's where he would really kind of have his way. And Breedeen just refused. Maybe I overestimated Jubilee's grappling ability or his wrestling because he wasn't able to get those takedowns. And Breedeen was an absolute dog. Everybody and their mom was on Breedeen this week, and I was the one guy that was like, nah, like, I respect you guys. I love you guys, but I don't think so. I really don't see it. I've been the one that got caught with my hand out, hoping Breedeen would pay me in round 3 before. I ain't doing it again. And this is the time that he does it, naturally, of course. So I missed out on that one, but Cedric Dumas up next against Abu Azaitar. My God, I got to tell you guys. I was beyond confident when it comes to Cedric Dumas this week. I really thought Dumas was going to just eat Azaitar alive. And in the first round, he handled him. I mean, I know it wasn't anything like overly impressive, but it was so easy to put this guy on his back. And he's got no gas. He's got no power. He's going to tire out. That's how this is going to go. if you get Zaytar grappling. Dumas takes his foot off the gas. He doesn't do anything for the rest of the fight. And I mean, we're talking like, buddy, you're in enemy territory here. Like, you can't just coast for 10 minutes against a Zaytar. I honestly believe this fight may have come down to the head kick in the final 2 seconds of the fight. It may have been that close because I thought Zaytar won round 2 pretty cleanly. And round 3 was close. It was so tight that if anybody had said Zaytar won round 3, I really wouldn't have had a strong argument to go against them. So even getting in early, paying the minus 170 price tag, obviously sketchy as hell. And for me to put 5 units on it, like that was, I would say that's a borderline terrible bet, right? Like it's a winner. I got the cash, but probably a pretty bad bet if you ask me. So I'm definitely counting my lucky stars that Dumas got his hand raised. I'm not getting off the train because, like I said, I think he's developing, and these are the types of minutes and rounds in the cage that he's going to need to break through and to hit that next level. I do still think he's, a talent with some upside, but I got lucky this time, folks. I got really lucky. And if you guys tailed me, I hope you got the good number early, and I hope you enjoyed getting lucky there with me on Dumas. If you got in late and got like the minus 250 in a parlay or something, whoo, we were sweating that one out. Nate Dogg saying I tried to DM you, but couldn't get that option on X. Nate, my X DMs are closed. Sorry, man. I'm not dumb enough to have my DMs open on Twitter. If you want to hit me with just tweet at me, I'll see it after the show and I can DM you. I'm pretty careful with who I allow to DM me on X because there's some shitty ass people there. You think athletes get it bad. You should see gamblers when they give out losing picks. So I closed my DMs for for good reason. I never would have survived last year if I had my DMs open. But you just tweet at me and I'll hook you up, man. Javid Bajrat takes on Victor Henry. And woof. I mean, we didn't really have time to learn much of anything in this fight. We talked about it. It felt like the money line was a little bit wide, but Javid still at the end of the day would probably get the win. And it looked like he was having early success, but that's not really the argument here, right? Like this was a Breedine type situation where is Henry going to punch his way back into this fight in rounds 2 and 3? Will Javid be able to keep up the pace and the grappling against a fighter who really sets his own pace when 90% of the time other people are wilting to his pace and pressure, not the other way around? So it was going to be very interesting the deeper this fight went. Not early. Early, we knew it was going to be all Javid. After that, we needed to see what happened with Henry. And then we get the Phantom Cup kick. Now, I just want to go on record that I do not believe that Victor Henry is winning an Oscar anytime soon. I do not believe that he is the understudy of Aljamain Sterling. And that performance, like, no man is making those noises on international television. Not one. Like, even if you think of the sketchiest human being you've ever met, you think of someone who you know with absolutely zero shame, myself, like, I'm not going on national and international television and squealing that way. That boy was not acting. Like, my man Victor Henry got his dick caught between the cup and his leg. And even if it was glancing, something pinched. Like, I mean, you guys can have your own opinion. It's kind of upsetting to me just from like a fan perspective. I like when people are good people. Javid coming after him on Twitter and social media afterward, doubling, tripling down, calling him a liar. And I'm just like, bro, like, any one of us that's been caught in the dick, any one of us that has had a ball crunched a little bit, like, brothers, we got to have sympathy for one another. The whole women power movement where they want to lift each other up and support each other, business women, and making sure they tell each other they're sexy, powerful bitches. And this is our moment. This is the moment when men unite. We cross our arms together. We stand as one and we say, we will not stand for nut shots or for discrimination against those who have had their balls crushed. That's all I got to say. So I'm hoping that Javid clears his head. I'm hoping he calms down just a little bit and we maybe rematch this fight. I would love to see them run that one back. But I need Javid to chill, pump the brakes, baby, because my boy Victor Henry is going to join he's going to join Thug Nasty in the One Testicle Club if we're not careful here. So, all seriousness, I hope Henry gets feeling better. I hope he recovers quickly because if you guys have never done MMA, if you've never taken a kickboxing class or done jujitsu and felt the pain of a cup shifting to just like right on top of one of your balls, let me tell you, there's there are few things. I got kicked in the dick by cleats in high school. All right, I played football growing up in high school. I played football, and a buddy of mine, actually the tackle next to me, because I played guard. I played guard on the offensive line. I was a skinny little motherfucker in high school. I still managed to be the best on the O line. So the guy next to me, he got beat by the defensive end, kind of spun himself around, and his heel just kind of popped up as he was facing the wrong way. Caught me right in the junk. I still can promise you that when it hit me grappling, when I was doing jujitsu and my cup wiggled on top of my balls, that was still far more painful than being kicked with a cleat. Like I'm telling you guys, if you haven't experienced it, you do not want to. Go try BJJ though. It'll change your life. But just be warned, be careful of the cup. Next up, you got Trevor Peak turning everybody's heads. I mean, wait, guys, I called this one, call a spade, right? Like I said, Trevor Peak should have been the minus 150 favorite. He closed damn near minus 200 and he beat Yaya pillar to post. He mixed in the wrestling. He was way more controlled. Like Peak is a freak athlete that is really still learning on the job. He's still putting it together, and he's got a very high ceiling athletically that if the skills and the brain can catch up with the body, he's going to be a problem. And Yaya, frankly, is a bum. Like, that's all this comes down to. Like, Yaya was brought in here to lose to Trevor Peak. Now, we all thought Peak was still going to KO Yaya, which, in fairness, that does bring up some concerns of, like, if Peak couldn't get this guy out of there, like, maybe we've overestimated that power that he brings to the table. But I was happy to see higher fight IQ out of Trevor Peak because frankly, I didn't know if he was capable of that. And not to insult the guy or anything like that, but I kind of thought maybe he was going to be just a brawler forever. I'm happy to see him turn the IQ corner much quicker than anticipated. Anybody that got that plus money on Peak, best bet of the card. Anybody that got, even money, the -2, -150, anywhere in that ballpark, that's where you wanted to be. If you laid the chalk late, you always want to get the best of the line, right? A winning bet is a winning bet at the end of the day, but like -200, I don't know if it was a -200 performance, but either way, we got in early. We cashed the ticket. He had a wonderful performance. Very happy for our guy, Trevor Peak, to go ahead and get the win. And let me just go ahead and check and see here because Jared's saying, I've never been kicked on accident, but in high school, some dude kicked me in the balls so hard. Yes, he could. Oh man, worst pain I've ever felt, and I was throwing up everywhere. My God, Jared, I'm so sorry. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we've all felt it. We've all been there. It's happened, right? And thank God I've never been to the point where I was like throwing up from anything with my nuts. But like that just sounds like the most awful thing ever. And I guess the report from the hospital was that Henry was like vomiting on his way to the emergency room. Like, oh, that poor man. Anyway, Mamed Mukayev takes on Tim Elliott. And this one's interesting. This one's really interesting because Elliott was like the everywhere dog of the week. And I kept telling everybody, it's like, it does not matter. Like the line is set this way for a reason. I really honestly kind of felt like they were baiting Tim Elliott action because Mukayev is just a freak of nature. He's another special athlete. He's another incredible high level grappler. And that's what this whole card was, is it was people that they wanted to spotlight versus people they didn't. And now honest, that never always pans out, right? Like Jubilee obviously lost to Breeden, but that's the point of this card, was they were trying to get some of these young kids over people they felt they were competitive with or they could beat easily enough. And that's why I was like, I'm not falling for this Tim Elliott trap. I've gone to war with Elliott more than once in my life as a dog, not doing it this week. And thank God, but he was down 20-10 on all judges' scorecards. I don't know if you guys saw the scorecards that got tweeted out after the fight was over. Every single judge, all three judges had Tim Elliott up 2 rounds to none on Mokaev. And I find that interesting because I thought round one was Elliott's and round two was Mokaev's. I thought it was 1-1 going into three myself. I need to go back and rewatch the fight, obviously, but the big piece of the pie here is Mokaev is a Diaz brother type. He doesn't play by the rules. This man wants to come out here and dominate in the grappling. And if he can find a submission, great. But if not, he's just going to drag you around that cage as long as he can. That is not something the judges like to see. It's a wrestling match. They're looking for MMA. So the slight attacks of Elliott, the few times that he scored, the submission offense, that was enough for them to score the fight for him because he was actually trying to fight. And that's something Mokaev better wrap his brain around because he was as stunned as I was to see that the judges had scored it 2 rounds to none for him after the fight was over. I'm legitimately considering like tweeting a video to Mokaev explaining the judging criteria because if nobody sits that kid down, like I said, he's got like star potential. He's got very high ceiling championship aspirations and potential to achieve said aspirations. But if nobody sits him down and goes, buddy, you're the most incredible wrestler ever. You're a spectacular grappler. But if you don't submit people, you're going to lose decisions because the judges score on damage. If he just added a couple knees in the clinch, if he just added a couple of elbows when he was on top, if you just strike 3-4 times before you transition to the next position on the ground, it's a lock. It's a wrap. You're going to destroy people and there will be no question. But because he only holds position and then he flows from one spot to the next, he's going to get screwed by the judges. And that's something we as gamblers need to keep in mind because as much as I'm high on this kid, and I've said this is a guy that I want to be on as much as humanly possible, we cashed the sub round 2/round 3 prop at plus 410. I still am like, we need to be careful because Elliott, his Achilles heel has always been that sub. I only bet the sub. He was in the parlays, obviously, but I wasn't laying that kind of chalk. I needed him to finish for me to win the bet. In the future, we got to watch out because somebody with better submission defense may beat him in a 15-minute decision. So we'll have to be very, very closely watching the matchmaking for one Muhammad Mokaev. The main card of this fight card, we all were like praying that this thing was going to salvage the night for us all because it had been weird. It had been chaos. I mean, closing out the prelims with Mokaev getting a round 3 sub was awesome, but at the same time, a lot of people didn't want to see like a 13, 14-minute grappling match. So we're all hoping that this main card gets it done. And I had to pony up and pay for the damn thing because I was at a poker tournament. I was at an annual stud tournament over the weekend, which by the way, your boy won the whole thing last year. This is my trophy for winning last year, first place. I was defending my title. Did not go back to back, unfortunately. But I was playing cards and had to go ahead and pony up the ESPN $80 for this pay-per-view because that was the only way I could stream it since I was on my phone and we were in a place where nobody could like hook up a pay-per-view or something like that. So I had to cough it up. I had to go ahead and buy it and oh, that didn't feel worth it. This thing did not deliver in the way we wanted it to. I did justify it at the end of the day, though, that I was basically buying the main and co-main event, right? Like, even if the rest of the main card wasn't spectacular, I was pretty much paying the price of admission to see Hamzat take on Usman and then watch the rematch of Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. So I'll swallow that pill, but not one that I probably otherwise would have purchased. We've got the weirdest thing to kick the card off, man. I actually thought Muin Gafurov was going to pose Saeed some problems. I actually thought he might be a tough test, and I was hoping to live bet Muin Gafurov. I did pick Saeed to get the win, but I was like, man, if he doesn't get that choke, if he doesn't get that ninja choke early, or not the, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is a ninja choke. Sorry, I was thinking Ezekiel for some reason. If he doesn't get that ninja choke early in this fight, I think he's in trouble. I think Muin Gafurov will be fresher later and he'll come kind of walk him down with big shots and big bombs. And Muin Gafurov sticks his fucking neck out. Can you believe that? Like, the script has been written on on Saeed Nurmagomedov. I know how to fight Said Nurmagomedov. Now, obviously, I couldn't do it. I'm not physically capable of doing it, but like I know not to dive front first for a double leg and leave your neck unprotected. If you have done even just a slight amount of research, you know that that's not the move against this man. And Muin Gafurov sticks his neck out there in the first 15 seconds of the fight. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I had Nurmagomedov in the parlays. He was down at the very, very bottom. I still think he's going to get exposed. I still think that he has the exact same problems, the exact same upside. And he just, man, he's just got one more person that volunteered to give him their neck and finish via choke. Pretty spectacular from Muin Gafurov to go down in flames that way in the first round. Ikram Aliaskarov, the man's a monster. I mean, they gave him Warley Alves, and Alves will try hard for about a minute and a half. And as soon as it's not going his way, he shuts down. That's basically what this was. Aliaskarov, I do think we need to be careful because we might be overrating him slightly based on what we've seen so far, because he's gotten perfect matchups. He's done exactly what the UFC has asked of him, and they've put cans in front of him to allow him to get these highlight reels. So we got to make sure we're not overpaying for him in the next one. But at the end of the day, he is scary. This man absolutely is skilled. He's talented. It looks like he knows what he's doing in there. He's going to be dangerous. We just don't want to overpay for him in a potential like letdown type of spot, or if they give him a step up that's maybe too much too soon. We got to be careful. But him getting Warley Alves out of there pretty early was basically what we all expected to happen. Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, though, gosh, I was getting into it on Twitter today. People still think that Magomed Ankalaev is championship caliber. You go to a decision that's ruled a draw with Jan, and I love Jan. I'm the biggest Jan guy around, right? But the man's old. He's not what he was. And you're going to a draw with him. And then he comes out here and pulls this shit. Like, you're a 10 fight UFC vet at this point. How are you illegally kneeing people and getting disqualified? Like, come on, man. Like, I just don't get it. He's got all the potential and all the skills, but he seems like one of these guys that apparently is just never going to live up to that. He's apparently just never going to be able to utilize all of the upside that he, I guess, should potentially have. I think Magomed Ankalaev is officially a bust. And people are arguing with me about him versus my man Jamal Hill. I'm telling you guys, I'm kind of glad it's a smaller show. There's only 42 of you listening right now, and probably only half of you will even bother to believe me here on this one. Jamal Hill is going to do dirty, filthy things to Magomed Ankalaev. The one spot where Magomed Ankalaev can really be had is in the boxing, and we've seen glimpses of it over the course of his career. And you give him a guy like Jamal, who can't be controlled, who has an incredible get-up game, and has the fastest hands in the division. Hill is going to wipe the floor with Magomed Ankalaev. The problem for me is that now we have two back-to-back letdown performances from Magomed Ankalaev. I think the bookies, very similar to like the C-Rod situation, where I was like, I think C-Rod's going to open up as a dog, and I was praying that that was the case because nobody realized how good he was. That's what I've been hoping here when they make Jamal Hill versus Ankalaev. But with Hill being sidelined and Ankalaev being active, we're getting all these dud performances from Magomed that I'm worried are going to tilt the line. I'm worried those are going to cause this line to go the wrong way for me, and it's not going to be as wide as I thought it otherwise would be or maybe should be. I'm just going to smash the shit out of Jamal Hill. Like, I want them to make this fight so bad. I hope it's Hill's comeback fight. Like, I doubt it will be because realistically, Hill should get a title shot immediately upon his return. But if they could just book Hill versus Ankalaev for a number one contender fight before he gets the strap again, I would love it so much. Just give me -110 on Hill. Fuck, give me -150 on Hill. I'll lay it. Like, I will with Bet Openly, folks. I will absolutely put action out there for anybody who wants it. Come and get it. I will go head to head against the world. Jamal Hill absolutely smashes Magomed. My guy in here, Dominic, saying smash the like button, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. There are 40 of you. If you could hit the like button, I would definitely appreciate it. We got to wrap the show up sooner than later because I do have to get to a family event. We're going to watch our Vikings go down in flames this evening. So let's talk about these last couple fights and then we'll call it a day. But I just can't believe Ankalaev did it again. And poor Johnny Walker. If you guys haven't been on his Instagram, like the cut that he did of him using Dana White and then saying that he was in the desert and he's like dancing out in the middle of nowhere. It's great. I love Johnny Walker. I wish we had gotten to see that fight play out. I was curious to see if it would continue to be that kind of slow pace or if it eventually would have ramped up. Like, I just want nothing but good things for Johnny Walker. He's such a fun character. I just don't know if he's got the hardware, unfortunately, to take on some of these guys, especially the more durable ones up here at the top of the division. Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, again, questions. Like, were questions answered? A little. But were they? I mean, like, Kamaru Usman comes in here on short notice, flies halfway around the world, and he gets 10-8'd in the first. Khamzat mauls this man. I mean, we got ground and pound. He gets his back taken, flattened out. It looked like he was fishing for a sub. Like, it's all looking gravy here with Khamzat. And then he does nothing for the rest of the fight. Completely blows his wad trying to run through Kamaru Usman. Can't do it. And then round 2 and 3 are very competitive. He ends up going to decision. That's suspect. Like, this guy was supposed to be a god at 170. It's a little too big. It's a little too big for 170. So they move him up to 185. And they bring the 170 champ, a guy he should have a huge size and strength advantage over at this point, and him not being impressive in this fight. And now I don't want to like take anything away from Usman because he's facing one of the best in the world, right? Like, he legitimately is fighting the biggest challenge of his career, and he won. So at the end of the day, he got his hand raised. But imagine this guy in a 5-round fight. You know, is he going to be able to even survive against Usman on a full camp in a 5-round fight? What does that fight look like? I know Usman was like staying ready, but he had no time to prepare, no game plan, no prep. And he did well enough, like, on 11 days. I mean, I'm curious what this fight looks like, even up at 185, if Usman has an entire camp, as opposed to coming in late. Very, very suspect. And then Khamzat opens up as a huge favorite over current champion Sean Strickland. And now the one thing I think I will say is I worry the difference between Sean Strickland and Kamaru Usman is the takedown defense. So if they book Khamzat versus Strickland for the title, I'm not sure that Strickland has the grappling chops to defend the way that Usman did. So a lot of people are going to pile in, and they're going to have the same thoughts that I did about, will you survive 25 minutes with Sean Strickland? Because we know that man's the cardio king. But if Khamzat takes Strickland down, is Strickland ever getting back up? And will that takedown come easy? Because the way he got the takedown on Usman, I wonder if he'd be able to flatten out someone like Strickland. I don't know that Strickland has the wrestling and grappling chops or just the sheer physicality that someone like Usman has to defend that position as well as Usman did. So I actually think Khamzat by sub against Strickland probably is still the way. Like, I mean, I think Khamzat probably still manages to get the win over Strickland. But it'd be interesting. I'm going to be very curious to watch this line. Again, it almost feels like bait. It feels like Tim Elliott all over again, right? Like, disappointing performance against Usman. The bookies open up Khamzat like minus 500 or something, giving people all the value they want on Sean Strickland as a big, big dog, taking all that early money. Come on, bring it in, folks. We know you're all going to bet Strickland now. Like, that seems like a trap to me. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious. I guess he maybe broke his hand in like the first round. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like, what the recovery time looks like. If that fight's going to get booked anytime soon, I can't wait. I just can't wait. Personally, I still think DDP is the way to go. I mean, I got Duplessis taking out Sean Strickland if they make that fight. And I would love to see Duplessis against Chimaev, because with those two guys going full tilt in round 1, cardio for cardio, that'd be nuts. That just a couple of freaks of nature in there slamming each other around in the cage and then seeing who gasses first. That would be fun. Main event, Islam versus Volkanovski 2. Sad day. I wanted Volkanovski to win so badly, you guys. But if you watched the Undefeated post weigh-in show, I feel like I wrapped it up really, really well at the end of the week. That I was like, it ain't gonna happen. Like, I hope it does. I hope he comes out here and takes Islam's head off early, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Either way, we knew this fight was ending. Either way, we knew this fight wasn't going the distance. And I know a lot of people were still hung up on the over. It's going to go late. It's going to go deep. It's going over. I'm like, this thing ain't even going 3. Like, I knew this fight. The one thing I wish I had done differently on this card, you know how I talk about the over ladders sometimes, where it's supposed to be like a first round finish and we do the over 1.5, over 2.5, over 3. I wish I had done a violence ladder. I wish I had done fight doesn't go the distance, under 4.5, under 3.5, under 2.5, because I really felt like this fight was going to end in the first or second round. I really did. So I wish I had the balls to actually take that shot, because I don't even know what the line was on the under 1.5. I'm sure it would have been some enormous, egregious number. I didn't think it was going to end as quickly as it did. I knew it was ending early, just not that fast. But it was nice to end the night on a violence bet, and we had Islam anchoring all the parlays. So it was a damn good night, folks. It was an excellent night. It was fun. I got to spend the rest of the day throwing cards around with my father-in-law and some of his old buddies that play poker. We drank Fireball all day and had pizza and nachos. It was a good day. It was a damn good day. That's all I got for you guys. I mean, this ended up being a little bit longer than I expected it to be. So thank you all so much for coming to the show. Thank you for those of you who are listening live, especially for hanging out with me and recapping the fights here last week. You guys are awesome. I can't wait. We got a week off. It's actually kind of nice, for me to be able to just kind of bask in the glory of my 100 unit year right now before the next round of fights get started. I don't have to worry about, doing any homework or anything like that this weekend and getting ready to prep. I will tell you the one bet that I have made on this next card is our guy, Armen Petrosyan. He is taking on the black belt Hunter. And we did go ahead and take Armen Petrosyan because I believe he's got the cardio advantage. And you guys know how I feel about his get-up game. A lot of people have questioned, his ability to defend takedowns, and they think he's going to get submitted by Rodolfo. And I think Rodolfo is going to have a very difficult time taking him down and controlling him. I think he can take the Chris Curtis style game plan and just keep his distance, work his way back to the feet if he does get taken down, because that's the one thing I've always really relied on is his get-up game. And then he'll be able to work his way to a decision. I don't think he's finishing Rodolfo, so that's kind of the way I'd be looking at it, would be an over and then a Petrosyan by decision. I'm going to be curious what that prop number opens up at. But that is the one bet that I've made. I want to let you guys know as soon as possible, so in case, it's a Trevor Peak situation, if that line starts to fly away, you guys know about it at least going into it, because we got fights next week. I want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, the love, the support, you guys always hanging here with me. It's spectacular. I love this podcast. I love doing this show. I love the interaction. I love the love from you guys. And I especially have enjoyed putting money in all of your pockets. So I hope the reads being sharp this year have absolutely helped you all to making your own money. That brings me joy. It brings me joy. That's what I love doing. I like degenning out and I like making people money. So thank you all once again from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to let you go here at this point. I'm going to go watch my Vikings play and just pray they're competitive. That's the only thing I can ask for at this point, is that they are competitive. Air Dog agreeing with me on the Armin pick. So let's go, baby. Nate, my guy, right back at you. Have a blessed night. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. We will catch you next week on Monday for the Die Hard MMA podcast. Love you guys, and let's roll.